Our next session, introducing Drawdown Explorer, the world's most comprehensive guide to climate solutions. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Jonathan Foley, Executive Director, Project Drawdown.
Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Good. So great to be following my friend Kate Marvel. It's just wonderful to see her speak about her work and her recent book. If you haven't read it, I'd really encourage you to go get it. It's really a lovely, lovely book. This morning, we're going to be talking about climate change and climate solutions, and it's 2025. We really have to acknowledge some pretty hard truths, I think. We have to think about the fact that climate change is not just some abstract notion of the future. It's here. It's knocking on our door. It's barging in. It's going to sleep in our futon, whether we like it or not. It's here. We're doing, it's not abstract anymore. It's actually really arrived. And the disruptions of climate change are making headlines every day. We're seeing this in real time today, not in the future, but now. And that's a hard truth. And there's no shelter from this. We're all going to be affected by climate change in some way or another. And another hard truth is we've not done enough. We are still lagging behind what we need to do to truly address this problem. And that's, I think, very clear to all of us. And unfortunately, we may be backsliding in some critical areas right now, just as we need to step up even more. We obviously need to turn this around and advance much more climate action. But here's another kind of hard truth. Even when we do act, we don't always act in the best and most effective ways. Are we always using every moment and every dollar and every action to their maximum potential? No, sadly, we're not. Sometimes we're not doing that. And we really need to turn that around too and focus on the best solutions and the most impactful strategies to address the climate crisis. So not only do we need more climate action, we need to get smarter climate action at the same time. But there is good news. If we do both of those things and we really act decisively and we act more effectively, we can turn this around and we can avoid the worst of climate change. And here's even better news. If we do that, not only do we solve a big problem of climate change, getting really out of control, we end up building a better world in the process. A world that's actually better than any world we've ever seen in human history. And I think that's the prize. That's the thing we should all be striving for and redouble our efforts and move forward into the future. And that's where we come in at Project Drawdown. We are always been a guide for effective climate action, using science to try to help people find the best possible solutions, the best possible strategies, and to move forward with confidence that we're doing it right, that we're using every moment, every dollar, every move, everything to its maximum potential. And we have a long history of this. We've worked with numerous scientists around the world, building and assembling data on what are the best solutions, putting that all together, not just our work, but the work of the entire world. We're trying to summarize the state of human knowledge around climate solutions and share that effectively through books, through websites, through media, through presentations, and so on. And we've been doing this for a number of years now, which is really great. But today, we're really, really proud to announce what we've been working on for the last couple of years. And this is a real quantum leap forward in making climate solutions even more effective. And so today we're really, really excited to announce something called the Drawdown Explorer. And we chose today at this event, this room with all of you to unleash this into the world. This is happening literally right now as we speak. So what is the Drawdown Explorer? Well, first, you can check it out. It's already live. If you want to go look at it on your phone right now, you can. Go ahead. Listen to me too if you can. Try to multitask. But it's available right now on your phone, on your laptop, whatever, at drawdown.org/explorer. It's already up. What is it? This is a powerful new website that starts with science. We have 24 PhDs working on this basically full time, looking at all the different domains of climate solutions, whether they're in power and electricity, whether they're in food and agriculture, industry, buildings, transportation, oceans, forest, you name it, we're tapping into this. And these 24 people aren't just looking at their own work. Again, they're looking at the science of the entire world, scouring the world for data from every single scientific publication ever written on climate solutions in all of these different areas. So this isn't just reflecting our opinion or just our science at Project Drawdown, it's reflecting the science of the entire world, and we're synthesizing it. We spent over 20,000 hours so far, and counting, putting this together. We've been working with trillions of data points, that is not an exaggeration, looking at every data point ever published, ever, on these different kinds of solutions and putting them together in one simple, easy-to-use place. We're counting over 150 solutions. I think we'll end up with over 200 before we're done. And on top of that, not only are we trying to get the science and the data all put together for you to use to make it effective, we're also spending countless hours editing, designing, polishing, and developing a website that isn't just filled with acronyms hidden behind a paywall that nobody can understand, but actually making it accessible and I hope useful and maybe even beautiful as a source of climate solutions and maybe also a source of some inspiration. And putting this all together, this provides us with the latest data. This is not just something from 7 years ago in an IPCC report or something that's obsolete when it's published. It is looking at the very latest data and it will be constantly updated as we move forward. So it's like, if you will, a Bloomberg terminal for climate solutions. At the same time, it's providing for the very first time localized intelligence on climate solutions. Until now, most information about climate solutions could only describe maybe the global average potential of a climate solution. How would solar panels work on Earth between now and 2050 was basically the best we could do until a couple of years ago. But now with more and more and more of these solutions existing in the world, we have more data. And we can use big data, machine learning, and geospatial analysis to start to paint a picture of climate solutions down to the local level. So we can start to show how would a climate solution work in New York versus Minneapolis versus San Francisco versus Tokyo versus Moscow or wherever you are. We can give you a tailored set of recommendations for your location. So this is the old Drawdown meets a Bloomberg terminal meets Google Maps, all put together at the same time. So what can this do for us? It can help provide a much clearer picture of what climate solutions are capable of and bring it to the here and now. No longer are we talking about climate solutions in some abstract model with global averages talking about the year 2050. We brought it to here, we brought it to now, because that's where we're going to have to address climate change every single day, here and now, everywhere on the planet. So not only does it provide actionable intelligence and actionable information in the here and now, it also can give us some new, maybe strategic insights about what could work best. Of all the things we have to do simultaneously in climate change, how do we get more strategic and more effective? The Drawdown Explorer can help you with that as well. How? Well, there are 3 big areas that's going to do this. First and foremost, we talk a lot about emergency brake climate solutions. Because we've lost so much time in the race against climate change, we have to learn how to catch up. We catch up by focusing on the fast reacting parts of the climate system. Things like methane, things like black carbon, things like deforestation that emit 100 years of CO2 in a single day. That's how we catch up and make up for some lost time. If we pull these emergency brakes on climate now and bend the curve as quickly as possible, that buys time for other solutions that take time, like infrastructure, restoring nature, and waiting for new technologies to scale. It lets them kick in too, but like a good relay race, you put things in the right order. You have your fastest runner first, and they pass the baton to the next runner, and so on and so on. So by sequencing climate solutions and focusing on these emergency brakes, we can be far more strategic. The biggest emergency brakes are so important, and they include deforestation. Deforestation emits about 12% of the world's greenhouse gases. That's incredible. That's 1.5 times what the entire United States emits. We're now at 8% annually. Deforestation's at 12. That's an emergency brake, and it's a big one. We also, of course, have methane as well, because methane is a potent, powerful greenhouse gas, but it packs a big wallop in the first decade or two and then starts to go away. By pulling these two big emergency brakes and more, we can bend the curve on climate very quickly. Another strategic insight we can use to get better at climate action is focus on geographic hotspots, places where climate solutions are even more effective than average. For example, if you're a big tech company in California, you could put up $1 million and say, I'm going to build a bunch of solar panels and put them in California. Good, that's nice. You'll get about this much impact. But if I took the same money and built the same number of solar panels and put them in Ohio or Indiana, you'll get about 500% more carbon impact, because that grid's really dirty. California's is already pretty green. By putting things in the right places, we can get a lot more impact. And I guarantee you, if you put climate solutions in the right geographies, the most impactful places, I can give you 2 times, 5 times, 10 times more impact than we would have gotten before. But you didn't have the data to show you how to do it. Now we do. For example, we can find hotspots in Southeast Asia to tackle deforestation. We can see where the forests are being cleared, but also where the forests have the most carbon. Focusing on about 2% of the forest gives you about 80% of the carbon impact. That's a really good leverage point. Another is looking at agricultural emissions across India, seeing how the patterns of methane emissions and nitrous oxide emissions are targeted to particular geographies, particular crops, particular places, and particular farming practices. We can target those and look for 80-20 rules to give you the biggest impact in the smallest amount of time. We can also use this and design optimal portfolios of climate solutions, like what mix of climate solutions would give you the overall biggest impact for any place in the world. This is just one example going up and down Vietnam, seeing how variations in climate solutions make sense, where you focus on rice in some places and deforestation in another and mangroves in a third. But we can design the best possible portfolio, and just like realtors say, it's location, location, location. That's how we're going to get more effective on climate change. And third, not only do we pull emergency brakes, not only do we focus on geographic hotspots, we can also focus on what we call benefit multipliers. Because climate solutions don't just stop carbon. They do a lot of other good things too, like clean the air, improve our health. They can create jobs, and they can help nature and communities thrive. And so when we look at the other benefits of climate solutions, we can unlock more support, more funding, and maybe reduce the friction of the things we have to do to address climate change. So in the Drawdown Explorer, not only do we track the carbon impact of climate solutions, we track all the impact of climate solutions on people and nature, and find ways to leverage a climate solution to be just a solution for building a better world. So together, by using the kind of latest data to bring it down to the now, and make it localized intelligence to bring it to the local here, and then giving strategic insights around emergency brakes, hotspots, benefit multipliers, we can give a lot more actionable intelligence for climate leaders. In fact, in the Drawdown Explorer, we have specific recommendations for policymakers, and other specific recommendations for investors and philanthropists, and for business leaders, community leaders, and about 10 different actors all have specific recommendations on what they can do, what we can do to help scale these solutions into the world. So this goes from a kind of abstract, kind of very broad brush paintings of climate solutions into the here and the now, actionable intelligence with strategic insights. This is now possible thanks to platforms like this. So the Drawdown Explorer is really the ultimate climate solutions platform. It's grounded in real science, not just ours, the science of the entire world. We're just reflecting back through what we call meta-analysis, everything science knows. We use the latest data and made pipelines so we can update this much more easily, much more frequently. Bring it down to the now and the here with localized current intelligence, so it's very actionable to real world conditions, tailored for where you are today. And by focusing on the here and now and not hypothetical futures, we can really advance climate action and also leverage effective strategies for scaling. And most of all, what's really important is we also hand this to real world actors with tailored recommendations for action. So we're very, very excited about this. So let me give you a quick kind of sneak peek of this. Some of you are probably looking at it on your phone right now. I was going to try to do a live demo, but I didn't want to be reliant on the Wi-Fi of some other building. I heard Mark Zuckerberg had a problem with that the other day, so I don't want to risk it. But we can look at the Drawdown Explorer. Again, it's right here, drawdown.org/explorer, or if you take a photo of that little QR code, it'll hop you right to it. But follow along with me. You can go to the Drawdown Explorer landing page, and you'll see a lot of solutions here presented graphically. We have about 70 of them up right now. We're going to be releasing another 10 or so every few weeks and building out over 150 very, very shortly. When we click on any one of these solutions, we can see it in that graphical view, or we can look at it through like a spreadsheet view. And rather than us ranking solutions for you, instead we let you rank the solutions in any way you like, by size, by cost, by speed, by co-benefits. Whatever you want to do, it's yours. You decide what the most important attributes are. We also provide beautiful summaries of every climate solution. We've been testing this with focus groups, and what we learned is people don't really read anymore. And we have to present most of the information people want to know in one page of a laptop or one page of an iPad. So we did. We have a 100-word summary, a nice picture, and a little graphical summary of the kind of basics of the solution, its climate impact, and 18 co-benefits, all on one iPad screen. And then if you want to play with it, instead of us presenting you with some scenario that we cooked up in a lab somewhere, instead we've made it interactive. You can move the sliders around saying, what if this was a more effective solution? And what if I adopted a bit more of it or less of it? What would the climate impact be? We do the math on the fly in real time, so you can just do this with your thumb, right on your phone, and do basically what a climate model would do on a supercomputer, but right in the comfort of your lap. That's pretty cool. But this is the real gold, is the geospatial information, kind of bringing it down to the local level. This is a map of cement emissions. Chemistry of cement emits about 5% of the world's greenhouse gases. This is a map of every cement factory in the world. It turns out that, to first order, they're in China. So we can zoom in. We can look at alternative cement applications in China. We can hover over every one of those dots and learn the name of that facility, how much it emits, and what we could do about it. So this is kind of amazing. By the way, any map you make, you just hit save, and it'll save it right to your desktop, free, open for you to use as you wish. And all of the underlying data is free and open and accessible right now. We have maps for offshore wind, where you could put floating turbines or those fixed to the ocean floor. We can show you every offshore wind turbine on the planet. I just happen to pick some that kind of piss off Donald Trump here, because they're near his golf courses, I guess. But it turns out there are a lot of them, and they work pretty darn well, it turns out, despite what you might hear from our president. We also can look at geographic hotspots of fertilizer emissions. When we overuse fertilizers here in India and China, for example, we have lots of nitrous oxide coming out of the soil. The emissions are on the left. The solution is on the right, comparing what we are emitting now and how much we could cut it without sacrificing agricultural yields, showing tremendous kind of hotspots of action where we could focus and get a lot of bang for our buck. So the Drawdown Explorer brings great science and big data to you so make sure that every dollar, every decision, and every action from now on can be even more effective. And the best of all, this is free. We are not using a paywall of any kind, no subscription. You don't have to give us your email, nothing. Everything is 100% free. Not only that, all of the underlying data, all of the underlying maps, graphics, and code are available to the world in Creative Commons. They're yours. You can use them for your pitch decks, your term papers, your whatever. You can make money off of it. We don't care. Go off and use this, please. And this will be free forever. So Thanks, I'm pretty excited about that. Well, somebody asked me, like, hey, shouldn't you charge for that? I said, you know, if you're having a heart attack, you don't put the defibrillator behind a paywall. You just give it to people. And this is the moment we need to act. So let's go do that. So what's next? Well, we just launched it today, right now, here. So you're the first people in the world to see this live. So cool, go out and use it. Please go off and see what happens. But you know what? We're not going to sit still. We're already working on version 2. And version 2 is going to have a lot of cool features. I'm just going to show you one of them. We're starting to partner with a group called Vibrant Data Labs. If you don't know them, you should. They're really fantastic. And together we're building kind of a financial tracker that'll be built into the Drawdown Explorer. So we did the science part. But a lot of people, investors, philanthropists, governments want to know, like, yeah, but where do I send some money to go do that solution you told me is so awesome? Who's working on it? Tell me all the companies. Tell me all the nonprofits in the world that are doing this. And then who's funding them? Whether it's a government, a venture capitalist, or a philanthropist, or private equity, or whatever, I'd like to know who's funding them and where the money is. So Vibrant Data Labs and Drawdown are going to do that together. Mapping from our science into financial transactions using AI to scrape every financial transaction on the planet. We can look at pictures of, like in this case, Rivian, that makes electric trucks. Who are they? Where's their money coming from? Who do they spend it with? The Good Food Institute, a nonprofit focusing on alternative proteins. Who are they? What do they do? Who's funding them? Where's that money coming from? And mapping all the financial and active relationships between all of these organizations planet-wide, tied to every single solution in the Drawdown Explorer. That lets us look at things like, hey, this is the carbon impact of 2 different climate solutions, silvopasture, putting trees back on our pastures and rangelands, and vertical farms, which turn out to be not a climate solution. They end up actually emitting more carbon, not saving it. But then that's the carbon impact, but where's the money going? Silvopasture is not getting any money, but it's a great climate solution. Vertical farms are a terrible climate solution, but getting lots and lots of money. So this, and we can name individual organizations, individual companies with these data, but marrying the best science with the best financial intelligence gives us a much clearer picture. That's coming next. Stay tuned, and much, much more. But to wrap up, I really love to see how we can build this kind of open source future together. How can we make these free and available things out there in the world? Now, we're a really tiny, tiny, tiny nonprofit. We're about 24 people. And a lot of people think we're 500 people. We're only 20-something. And we don't have a big PR budget. We depend on friends and allies to help us spread the word. So I'm hoping you will too. Can you help us? Can you maybe shout out to your followers, your friends about the Drawdown Explorer? Can you maybe go to our socials and maybe you like it or maybe you share it? And if you can, maybe take a look at this video that we're going to be posting a little bit later
Throughout
today.
history, progress has always felt difficult.
We choose to do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
But we know with determination and the right tools, we can make the impossible possible. Stopping climate change is the seemingly impossible challenge of our generation. That's why we built the tool that shows you it's possible. This is the Drawdown Explorer, the world's most powerful platform for climate solutions. We've done the heavy lifting, trillions of data points, thousands of hours of scientific research, all distilled into one website, built for one thing: action. No guesswork, no greenwashing, just the clearest picture yet of what works, what doesn't, and what you can do right now. From emergency brakes that quickly bend the curve on greenhouse gas emissions, to geographic hotspots for maximum impact, and benefit multipliers that create new jobs, clean air, and improve communities. Whether you're shaping policy, leading a business, funding change, or just asking, where do I start? Drawdown Explorer provides the expert guidance you need to take bold climate action. So build with it, invest with it, plan with it, lead with it. Make the impossible possible.
Thanks. So in closing, just thank you very, very much. And if you can help us amplify this message and first and foremost use this tool to advance your climate work, we'd be incredibly grateful. Thank you, and thanks for your time today. Have a great Climate Week, everybody. See ya.